Yo, it's Trent. I hope everyone's having a good day, good week so far, good weekend. Good weekend so far. Happy Saturday. Tomorrow's 420. I know it's Easter, but 420 comes first. Come on now. Come on. 420, beautiful, dude. I absolutely love it. But that reminded me of a story which happened, God, how long ago? 4 years ago? 3 years ago? 4 years ago, on 420, I went to Six Flags, okay? And at the time, I had a girlfriend, all right? And I decided, because I had a little bit left, I had like half a bag of edibles left, so like 50 milligrams. And I decided, I knew that I'd have to drive back. So me and my girl at the time, I go, hey, let's go to Six Flags. We both agree, okay? So let's say we go at 2 p.m., right? And I knew we'd be leaving about 8 p.m., like something around there, maybe 7, maybe a little earlier in case we do everything quickly. Most likely there'll be lines though, we'll have to wait around. We'll probably get food at some point. So I'm going to eat these edibles, right? Like I knew I'd have to drive home, but like the longest they would last is 6 hours, maybe a little longer. And if we're there at 1 or 2, 6 hours later, we're leaving at 8. That's fine with me. I should be coming down. I should be chill. That's not exactly what happened. We'll talk about it. So we're in the parking lot, and we parked, and it wasn't too busy that day, but it was semi-warm out, so of course there were people there. And once you've been to Disney and like Universal and shit, going to Six Flags and waiting in line for an hour, it's not too bad. You know what I mean? Like once you've waited 6 hours to go on like the new Toy Story ride, and you're like, this is a kid's ride, I just waited 6 hours of my life for. Once you do that, then it's really not a problem to wait 30 minutes or 40 minutes in line, because I've done that so many times in my life. I hated it. Like, I was blessed, don't get me wrong, as a little kid. I got to go to Disney over 3 times in my life. That's insane. You know what I mean? Not a whole lot of kids get to do that. I know I'm in that situation. I'm blessed. But I'm just saying, I've waited in my fair share of crazy long lines. One time not even at Disney, dude, when I was like 5 or 6, I wanted to meet Rey Mysterio, the WWE wrestler, because I used to love wrestling when I was a little kid, right? I waited 7 hours in a random mall in this giant line to meet him, dude. So I can handle an hour line. So we're in the parking lot and we're walking up, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat these edibles before we get in. And I offered my girl if she wanted one at all, and she said she'd take half of one, which means she's taking 5 milligrams. I'm taking 45. But I've always been able to handle the edibles. You know what I mean? I've had, I wouldn't say a tolerance to them because I don't always eat them. But when I do eat them, I have to usually eat a good amount or take RSO. When I take RSO, it smacks me, but normal edibles, I gotta eat almost the whole package. So 45 I knew would hit me, but not hit me, you know what I mean? At least I thought so. So I eat them in the parking lot, throw the package away, I give her half of one, and we go in, right? Now, the newest ride in there was Joker, and we hadn't done it yet, right? And it's a weird one where you're kind of sitting like your hands and your knees are up in the air, and then you kind of go forward and backwards and forward and backwards. Well, I didn't know this until this time, one second. The mailman is here. All right. Sorry. Got a little distracted. I see the mailman all the time, right? But that is not the normal mailman. That's a replacement mailman or a substitute mailman. So that's why it caught me off guard. And the way that my car's parked in the driveway, there's already 2 other cars in the driveway. So I'm tightly packed in the driveway. And this guy walked right in front of my car. And it's whatever time it is, 10 a.m. So that was I wasn't expecting that. But let me get back to the story. So the Joker one, right? And I was saying, I didn't know this about myself until this time on the roller coasters, but this is when I started fainting, or not fainting, but losing oxygen and passing out. So we get on the first ride, and I made a story similar to this where we went to Six Flags and I passed out a bunch of times. Well, this was after this time, but this is when I found out that I passed out on rides. So we go on the Joker one, and that one I didn't pass out on. I didn't even feel the edibles yet, right? Which I'm sure didn't help my scenario, but I didn't feel the edibles yet. We're rocking back and forth, fine, all fun, right? Well, then we go on Superman, which I've always liked Superman. Maybe other people didn't, but I like it because laying on my stomach, that's always been that's how I go to sleep. So like I'm fine with laying on my stomach. I think it's cozy, you know what I mean? So even though it's hard plastic and you're laying and your arms are forward, you're like Superman, you know what I mean? Still fine with me. So I'm laying on there. That's when I felt the edibles kick in. I know this is going to sound stupid or funny or whatever, but this is the truth. The moment I felt the edibles is when the guy locked me in. You know what I mean? Like he latched on the ride. So I felt something like kind of give me a hug in the back. And whatever the ride mechanism was, whatever the seat was to keep you locked in the seat, you know, it like hugged me in the back. And I felt a tingling sensation go through my back. And I was like, oh, you know, I feel the edibles. They just weren't that strong. It wasn't hitting my head so much as it was hitting my body, but I just accepted it, right? Well, we're on the Superman ride. My hands are out in front of me. I'm having a good time. And all of a sudden, darkness, right? Just darkness. I'm like, what the hell? And I kind of wipe my face, or it felt like I woke up, wiped my face, and guess what? It's the end of the ride, right? And I was like, what happened? And my girl, she's like, you passed out. I was like, fuck, dude. So then we go on Batman, and Batman's more chill. You know, you're just sitting there and your legs hang off. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting there chilling on the ride, and your legs, your legs are just hanging. Like, you're on a chair, like a swing set. Like, think about being on one of those swing set things where they go in a circle. It's kind of like that, but with an actual roller coaster track, but just you're hanging, like you're sitting. The track's connected above you, right? So I'm sitting on that one. That one doesn't even go that fast, right? So I didn't think I was going to pass out. Plus, that was the first time it ever happened just a minute ago. So the last thing I thought was going to happen was me passing out. And to be honest with you, I wasn't even thinking about it. The only thing I was thinking about is, one, because I was holding my girl's hand, I was like, is my hand sweaty? Because, you know, I was high. So those are the things I'm thinking about. I'm like, are my hands sweaty? Do I look weird or anything? And then boom, pass out again. Wake up and I'm like, what the hell? Now listen, when you pass out once, it's kind of like whatever. But after the first time, once you do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you know what happens? You start feeling real fucking groggy. You feel like you woke up from, like, I don't know, when you take a nap after school and you have no idea where you are and you got those, like, lines all over you, you know, from sleeping hard. Dude, that's what it felt like. Like, I felt groggy as hell. So I was like, hey, maybe we should get some food. So we get food, we chill out, and I kind of feel a little better. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel as wavy and not good. Well, I can't remember the names of them, but we go on some other rides. So we went on American Eagle. That's one of them. We went on, I can't remember what the new one, the big wooden one, Goliath. We went on Goliath. We went on all these, right? So, like, American Eagle and Goliath, what I call, like, normal roller coasters where there's nothing kind of weird about them. Not weird, but just different. Like, they're just normal wooden roller coasters. Like, that's what they are. You know what I mean? Didn't pass out on those. But, like, the triple flight or X flight, I think it's X flight is what it's called, and then Raging Bull, and I passed out on like 4 other rides. So we're sitting there, the edibles are hitting, trust me. Like, I wasn't too high, but I was feeling good. But dude, the mixture of the edible and then waking up from passing out more and more was not a good mix, because I'd wake up and I'd feel groggy, and then I'd realize that, you know, the edible, I'm feeling the edible as well. Dude, I did not feel good. So eventually it gets to like 7:30, 8 p.m., like the time we were going to leave, right? We've been on pretty much everything, and I could sense that she was ready to leave. You know what I mean? Like, when you know someone for a little while, you can sense when they're ready to go home, and like, you know, you just know. If you know, you know. Like, when you are around someone for long enough and you can, you know their tendencies, and you can do like the communication just by looking at each other like that. Well, I knew she wanted to go soon, right? But I was still fried. So I was like, I know she's not going to want to drive home because I haven't brought it up. And it's like a 45-minute drive home. So I knew she wasn't going to want to do that, especially on the highway and stuff. So I knew I had to, you know, sober up a little bit. So I'm like, hey, why don't we play some arcade games before we go? Maybe we can win a big, like, stuffed prize, you know what I mean? Well, that was one of the only things that would convince her to stay. I knew that in my mind. She was like, sure, yeah, that's fine. So we go start playing carnival games or arcade games, or not arcade, but yeah, like, I know we're at Six Flags, but you know what I mean by carnival games, like the milk jug one and throwing at the clown guys and popping the balloons and the water race and stuff. Well, we played like all of them, and they're expensive, dude. Some are cheap, some are like $3 for this, right? But like the ring toss, I remember the ring toss was like $5 for 3 rings. It was like, fuck that, you know? But I still bought it. You still got to do it. But dude, I buy a bunch of them just trying to sober up, right? And eventually I go, hey, I have to use the bathroom, which was a lie. I didn't have to use the bathroom. I walked behind the bathroom, went into this little restaurant that was still open, went in there, ordered a Coke, and just chugged the fuck out of it. They didn't have Dr. Pepper. I would have drank that, but I knew I needed something. I'm like, I need something in my system besides the food we ate hours ago. Like, I need something to sober up here, right? And I was getting less high because it had been, like I said, 6-7 hours. But still, I knew I needed something to, like, mentally, get past the mental block to be like, okay, I can drive now. So I grabbed this big-ass Coke, and I just glug it down in, like, 2 minutes, probably, like, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm just chugging, right? I'm chugging to the point where it's spilling down my chin and, like, down my shirt and stuff, but I didn't care. I was like, I just need to sober up a little bit. So I chug that. I shake my head around. I'm like, okay, you gotta be a man. I go outside, right? And the girl that I had been seeing at the time, she's holding this giant ass purple dragon, right? And I'm like, what the hell is that? How'd you win that? And she's like, oh, while you were gone, I finished playing the game and won this. And I was like, what? So then I'm like, how'd you win it? Like, what? I knew what game she was playing, but still, I was like, how'd you do that? I'm kind of amping it up. She's like, I just did this. She pays for another round, wins again. So we had 2 giant dragons, and so we're walking out with those. And then as we're walking out, right, because she gave one of them to me, she's like, you can have one of them. Usually the guy's supposed to win the stuffed animal for the girl, but she won these 2 giant ones. So she gives one to me, and I'm like, oh, thanks, right? We're walking out, and this little kid looks real upset. He's about, what, like 4 or 5 years old? He's crying, right? And he looks sad, and his parents are, like, trying to talk to him. I think they were also about to leave, and the kid just didn't want to. He's crying, right? And I knew that she wouldn't care because she had her own dragon, she's not going to care about mine. So I just looked at the kid, and I was like, hey, man, you want this? Because it was like one of the biggest prizes you could get. So I was like, do you want this? The little kid looked up at me and smiled. He was so happy, dude. He was so happy. He had tears in his eyes, and he was smiling, right? So I was like, here you go, right? Well, we keep walking, and I'm very glad that the girl I was with at the time did not care, because some girls would have been like, I got that for you, you know what I mean? Some people would have cared, but I felt like I did something nice, and that's when I realized, hey, maybe I'm not too high anymore. I'm maybe like a 1 or 2 out of 10, which is different from like if I smoke a blunt, I could wait 10 minutes and drive, you know what I mean? Or wait 5 minutes and drive, and if I really had to, I could drive while smoking a blunt. It's not a big deal. Now, being off edibles is a little different because you feel everything. Like, if you push your right foot down on the pedal, you're going to feel that vibration in your foot, or like the tingliness of the highness, and then it might travel up your leg. It might not, depending on how high you are, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it's different kind of high. So being baked is like, damn, dude, I don't want to still be high off edibles. But I got in the car, started driving back. It was completely fine. And guess, even though we got food there, we'd been eating all day pretty much. Dude, we got back, and I instantly was like, oh, we got to get Portillo's or something like that. You got to cap off the day good, dude. So, of course, got some good food. But, damn, dude, yeah, that was edibles at Six Flags. But then I also, you can mix it in with, I told a story like 6-7 months ago called fainting like 7 times at Six Flags. This is like an attachment to that story, dude. This is eating edibles and then also fainting. Like, I didn't faint that many times, but I fainted probably 4 or 5 times. And let me tell you, dude, when you're driving afterwards, just after being on roller coasters, it feels a little weird. But after you fainted and you're still coming off edibles, that's a weird-ass feeling. I'm driving, dude, and obviously I'm not going to tell the girl this because I don't want her to be scared or freaked out or anything. But in my mind, I was like, this does not feel like real life. Like, I was driving, but I felt like the passenger. You know what I mean? Like, that's never a good thing. I know a lot of people have experienced that. One time I was with this kid, he said it feels like Mario Kart. And he was a drunk driver, and he was driving us home from a party. He said that. I was like, oh, that's not great. But that's how I felt. Like, I don't even feel like the driver right now. I feel like I'm operating the car, but really the car's operating itself, and I'm just sitting here. That's how it felt. But, yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope everyone has a good Easter, good 420. You know, blaze it up, have some fun. Be safe. What else we got? If you're going through, make sure you sub, share, like, comment. Subbing's the only one I care about, really. We're almost at, 5,700, so let's get there. It means a lot. And if you're going through something, need someone to talk to, my Instagram's linked in the entire bio of my channel, not the video description, but the whole channel. Just go there, DM me. I'll get back to you in a day or two. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Peace out.